Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a goal scoring game mode in Trilogy. So the first step is to load up your mod kit. So just load your uproject file and that'll load this up. And the next thing is we're going to create a new mod using the create UGC button. So we'll call this game mode goals video. So there we have our empty content folder for our mod. And so now we'll start creating our files. So we'll go to the levels and we'll copy over a map. We'll also go to our core files and we'll create some new core gameplay classes. Move those over. And we're going to be having a custom HUD on this one, so we'll copy over our HUD base HUD widget blueprint. And we'll be customizing the score, so we'll copy over the old flag score widget blueprint. And of course it will affect the left wrist HUD for VR, so we'll copy that over as well. And we'll need to override our VR character's wrist HUD as well, so we'll create a new child class of that. Move that over. And we'll create some new blueprints as well. We're going to have another actor blueprint. We're going to call that BP. Oh, I'm sorry, actually. Let's remove that. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to override the existing flag so that we can bring in a lot of their functionality. So what I'm going to do is create a child class of this BP flag orange, and then we'll bring that over. Yeah, and the new one we're going to create is actually it's called the BP it's called goal video. That's going to be the goals that we toss the flag through to score points. And we're going to have one final new blueprint here, our widget blueprint. And we're going to call that team scored. I guess we'll just leave it like that. All right, so let's go through and name everything. So I think we'll just call this goals video. Same thing with this. I'm giving these kind of unique names because, as always, I've already created these files in a different mod, and so it gets really confusing because Unreal picks up the names here. So if they all have the same names, and it gets difficult to pick them out of like drop downs and stuff. So there we go. So I got everything named nicely. Save all. All right, so let's hop in. So we'll open up our game mode goals video map, so I can check that up here. And we're just going to delete this yellow flag spawner. And then we're just going to move this guy into the middle of the level. So we'll just kind of zero it up there and zero it up there. And there we go. So we got the flag spawner right in the middle of the level. And this will spawn an orange flag, which is the kind of flag that we brought in. Although, let's see. Let me actually check that really quick. Yeah. So I think it's fine. So we'll just leave it it'll be set to orange, even though we're going to set the flag team to none. This will still spawn the orange flag because we've subclassed the orange flag. So we'll save that. And that's pretty much all the setup we have currently for the map. So the next thing we're going to want to do is go into open up our game mode. And the only thing we're going to be doing in here is, let's see, we're just going to use teams to true, because we do want to have two different teams and have all that functionality working for us. And that's all we need to do there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up all of our custom functionality for the flag itself, for how it interacts with the goals. Because obviously these flags are set up for capture the flag, but there's some major differences between capture the flag and like goal scoring. For example, there's only one flag and both teams can pick that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to ultimately override the functionality of the regular flags. But the reason we're using this is because the flags also have a lot of other nice functionality, like they have IFFs over the top of them. They allow people to already pick them up and throw them properly. And so we want to bring, or also like when you fire near a flag, it moves. So we want to bring or try to preserve as much of that functionality as possible, which is why we've subclassed the original flag, but we just want to override how collisions interact with it. And by collisions, I mean collisions with the players, right? So you'll see exactly what I mean as we go through this. So what we're going to do is take this orange flag here, and we're going to say we're going to set the team to none, meaning both teams can operate on this flag. I'm going to turn auto return off for this particular game mode, and that just means that if it's sitting out in the field for like over 30 seconds, it will auto return to its home base. So you could obviously leave that on if you wanted, but I've decided to turn it off for this game mode. We also want to set, let's see, override collision to true, because we're going to be overriding the collision functionality. And basically this disables the collision in the parent file, and that allows us to just add our own custom collision functionality directly into here. And we're also going to set the cooldown time to 0.5 seconds. And so what this is, it's a delay time where when you throw the flag, it can't really be picked up for half a second basically. And the reason for that is like you don't want to throw a flag and have yourself like automatically pick it up by accident. So You can adjust this to whatever you want. I decided to reduce it a bit since there's going to be a lot more like flag throwing and catching in this game mode. So I've dropped it to 0.5, just kind of showing you that you can adjust that value. And so now we're going to do all the collision pieces. And so what we're going to do is we're going to grab the capsule and we're going to create our own on begin overlap here. And so, yeah, so what's happening is this on the parent, since we selected, since we said to override collision, it will just only run this instead of the parent one. So the first thing we want to do is check that we're only on the server. So we're going to check for authority. So we only want the server handling collision so that it's server authoritative. And then what we're going to want to do is the flag should only ever interact with players. We only want players to be able to collide with it. So we're going to get the class of the person of the object that collided with it, and we're going to check it. So we're going to ensure that it's actually a child class of BP character base, which is what all of our players inherit from. Just a good test. Even though we do have the settings here, I think the collision settings are already set to really only overlap, mostly with like pawns. But yeah, obviously it also impacts the ground, which is why it blocks world static. But yeah, that's why we only want, so there are other things that it could be overlapping with, like the no flag zone and stuff. So in this case, for this particular functionality, we only want to, when it collides with something, we only want it to detect players or pawns, basically. And like things like the no flag zone or the out of bounds zone, like they handle it, the collision itself. So it's not handled in here. Yeah, so no need to bother with that. And then so if it does collide with a player, then we want to make sure, we want to grab this, get can be picked up. So can be picked up. This is related to the cooldown here, and so the cooldown is what drives this. So basically, once the flag gets thrown or dropped in any way, for a half second, can be picked up will be false. So we want to actually check to make sure that that's actually true. Because if not, you might throw it and then immediately like pick it up. So now we'll run a sequence. So if all this is true, if it's a player and the flag can be picked up, then let's go ahead and see. We'll set other actor. So we already this is already a an object on the flag class. So we're just going to reuse that, and we're going to throw this into that. So we know we have a valid player, and so we're going to set that as the other actor and clean this up a little bit like that. And so the next thing we want to do is we want to look at the state of the flag, right? So the players hit it, but you'll see that we're going to do a little bit of a different functionality depending on what flag state this flag is in. So what we're going to do is we're going to get orb state. That's actually flag state, but they were going to be orbs originally. So some of the naming, isn't exactly correct, but still it serves the same purpose. And then we're going to run a switch off of it. So you can see there's different states the flag can be in. The flag can be at the base, picked up, or dropped. So what we're going to want to do is make a sequence. And because the way this game mode works, both when it's at base or dropped, will share the same functionality. And then if it's picked up, we don't want to do anything to the flag. So like the flag can't be grabbed off of like someone's back or something like that, right? However, it can be grabbed if it's at base or if it's been dropped or like thrown. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to use some built-in functionality that already exists on this flag, right? That was kind of the point, or one of the points of this, is that it makes it easier to use some of that. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get other actor, and we're going to let it know. We're gonna set the orb on it. And so yeah, this is just using like a message an interface message. And so what we're doing is the flag is actually letting the player know that it's picked something up, and the flag is actually controlling the state essentially, or the player's state relative to the flag. So the player will now know that it's holding this orb. So we'll grab self, which is this flag that we're modifying. And so yeah, so the other actor is holding this flag, and that's just important for like other gameplay systems to know about that. It's just the way the system works. And then the other thing we're going to want to do is grab the other actor, and we're going to multicast a pickup. So basically it's going to let everybody else know as well that it picked up the flag. Again, it's just some built-in functionality, so that the flag generally and like the game systems rely on. So it's not something you have to build. These are already existing. Yeah, and so it just basically this is just what's necessary. Yeah, and I think that's it for the flag. So we'll save that up. I'll just leave these as is. So yeah, the next thing we're going to build is the goal. The goals that we place in the level that you can throw the flags through and that like allow you to score points. So what we'll do is we'll start off just by, they're just going to be box collisions, so we can detect when something hits them. And then, let's see. So it's going to be similar to like our race mode finish line size. So I'm just going to make it 1500 by 5 by 250. There we go. Nice little goal. I'm going to shift it up. And what I'm also going to do is, just so it's easier to see for us when we're testing, I'm going to add a cube static mesh to it, just so we can see it. It's at 50. Save that. And we'll go into the event graph. And we'll start off in our begin play. I think we won't need these, so we'll just kill those. And what we're going to do is start off with a sequence. So basically, once this flag gets spawned into the level, it's going to run these two things. So we need a reference to our game mode, because we're going to be operating on the scores. We're going to be checking scores and stuff, so we need this, and then we also need, or at least for this, we're going to be getting like our scores to win, I believe, off of this. And you'll see why in a second. But yeah, let's get a reference to that. Just cast it to game mode base, because it's just going to use some of the base functionality off the game mode. We're not really doing anything custom to the actual game mode file in this particular game mode mod. And we'll promote to variable. And we'll call this our, our game mode reference. Throw it under references. And we'll also get our game state, because we're going to be multicasting a little bit of information. Like when someone scores, we're going to let people know that that team has scored. Yeah, and we're going to cast that to our game state. This is going to have some custom functionality. So our game state goals video. So I usually mess this up in our videos, but this time I think I got it finally. So it'll actually be pointing, into the mod rather than to like the test mod and then not work. So and let's promote that and call that our game state reference and throw that into references. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start overriding on begin overlap the collision with the box. So essentially, when a flag is thrown through that box, like we want to give the opposing team, or the team that scored, we want to increment their score. So at least that's part of what we're going to be doing. That's the main aspect of this. So yeah, so as usual, we only want that to be handled on the server. So switch has authority. And what we're going to want to do in this case is we're going to want to get the class, and we want to get the child class, and we want to make sure that this is only interacting with flags. So we'll look for BP flag base, and we'll just make sure this is a flag. Yeah, the other thing we should do actually too is let's set up the let's make sure the collision is set up properly on this. Let's go to our box. I forgot to do this. And collision presets, and we'll go to custom. And we'll choose to ignore everything, and we're only going to be doing queries, and we'll make this thing world static since it's not moving. That's just the type, the collision type that it'll be. And then the only thing, it's only going to interact with world dynamic, so which is what the flags are. So we'll save that, and then of course we'll double confirm here. So we're going to say okay. Is the thing actually hitting this a flag? Because of course there could be other things that are world dynamic, right? Other things that move. Who knows what they might be? But we want to make sure that this thing only interacts with things that are of the flag base type. So if it is, then we'll run a sequence of events. The first thing we'll do is we'll grab this, and we're going to cast to flag base. Since we know it is a flag, we're going to go ahead and cast to it so we can actually access the functionality on it. We're going to promote that to variable, and we'll just call it the flag object. Let's bring this down. We'll need a good amount of room here, so we'll bring that up, and this as well. So we stored the flag object, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the flag object, and this is just a rule I thought was kind of cool for this game. I decided to add where you have to actually throw the flag through the goal, right? Like you can't just be holding the flag and then fly into the goal. So what we can do is once we have that flag object, we can get the orb state. See, this is why we casted to BP flag, because we actually need to get something on that particular object, which is this, this orb state. We can't just grab that off of just an actor, because the actor doesn't have any idea, doesn't even have this custom functionality in it. So yeah, so that's why we're casting to flag base. So we can grab this orb state, And we're just going to say, hey, is this thing equal to, these are the different states it could be in. We're going to be like, hey, is this thing dropped? So it has to be in the state of dropped, which means it has to be either like flying, it basically has to be flying through the air. It has to be thrown, right? Because that's how it gets set to drop, is you have to actually throw the flag. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to check that. Be like, hey, is the flag state dropped when it actually impacts the goal? Because you could theoretically just like fly it in off your back. Bring that down. So if that's the case, if a flag's hit it and if the flag has hit the goal and it's dropped, then we'll run another sequence of events. So what we'll do is, so the goals need to be like assigned a team. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable, and we're just going to call it team for this goal. And we're going to use the team enum that already exists. And we're going to save that, and then we're going to make it instance editable, because we want to assign the team, right? At some point we want this goal to be reusable for like either team, basically. So we give it a variable, we make it instance editable. Why? Because we're going to be dragging them, we're going to be creating instances in the level editor, and then through the level editor, this just makes this variable accessible through the level editor. So you'll see later how when we drop them in, we'll actually assign teams to them. Yeah, and so then what we want to do is, so if a flag flew through this goal and the flag is dropped, then let's go ahead and figure out like what team, right, needs to have their score incremented, right? So we'll grab the team that we've set externally, and we'll run a switch, of course. And so if this is the orange goal, we'll run another sequence of events. Yeah. And so this is where we want to grab one of these, like the game mode reference here. So I'm just going to hold control and grab in game mode reference. And we're going to want, there's a function already existing on that called Increment team score, which makes it really easy. So of course, so if this is the orange goal, then we want to give the yellow, we want to increment the yellow team score, right? And then also we're going to create a little function here so it can be reusable, and we're going to call it team not one. And so this little function, it's nice because we only want to show a message that the team scored, so long as no team has won yet, because we don't want like two messages showing at the same time, basically. So how do we do that? So we're gonna it's just gonna take an input of team, and we're just gonna check to see if this team whatever team we pass in here has won or not yet. So let's call this team. And of course we just need a true or false. So we'll just pass out a Boolean. So then what we're going to do is we're going to get that game state reference we made earlier back here in begin play, right here. And the game state actually has, that's where all your team scores. So we're going to get this team scores map. This is a map. It's basically like an array of like key value pairs, basically. So it's just an array of like the team enum, so like orange or yellow, and then their current score. So that's how I'm storing scores in the game. And that's something on this game state. So then what we're going to do is, the way these maps work is that we're just going to use a find, And so find will just find something, find a key, which is the team, and it will return the value, which is the score, right? So what we want to do is we're going to say, well, whatever team we pass in, go ahead and get that team's score, right, off the game state, so we can actually check it to see if they've won or not yet. And then what we want to do is once we have their score, we want to get our game mode and our reference to that. So it's this, yeah, it should be this one that we created right here, this game mode reference. Yep. Let's see, yep, game mode base. And we're going to want to get what's the max, or what's the score to win, right? We need to know what that is. And then we need to compare the two. So we need to say, okay, so like, so long as the current score is less than the score to win, and we're going to return that, then team not won should be true, right? Because we haven't actually won the game yet, because it's not, the current score is not equal to or greater than, right? So the team has not won so long as its current score is less than the score to win, right? So you'll see why we did this. And then let's make it a pure function, because we're going to reuse this function a couple times. So it's always good if you're going to reuse something, it's good to start using functions, and rather than like just copy and pasting it, because it's just good practice and it cleans up your code, and you know, it's just good. It's better to do it that way. Yeah, so we'll go back to our event graph, and that will actually use this. So what we'll do is we'll drag this in, and so in this case, since we've just incremented yellow, right, their score basically, because someone like orange just threw, or actually either team, so you can score on yourself. I haven't protected against that. But anyways, so long as if we just incremented yellow, then what we want to do is now we want to check yellow, and grab a branch, and we want to see has the team not won. And so what we're going to do is, so long as the team hasn't won yet, then what we're going to do is we're actually going to, on our game state, we're going to be multicasting a user interface. So we'll go ahead and build that right now. So just give me one sec. Let me open that. So let's actually open our game state from our goals video. And let's create a new custom event. And it'll be a multicast event, because we're sending it to all the clients from the server. And we're going to call it team score. And we're going to make it multicast and reliable. Then we're going to create a widget. And we're going to use a my add to viewport so that it works with VR. So we still need to create this widget. I think we already created the file for it. So yeah, it's complaining because we haven't plugged in an actual class yet. Let me grab my reference for that. All right. So let's see. Yeah, so it's this WBP team scored. So all we need is we're going to display some text in the center of the screen. get it aligned properly. Size to content. Use our font. Make it 62. And we'll just give it some like example text. So it'll be like some team. We'll say like orange or yellow, team scored. That's what we're going to display when a team scores on the middle of the screen. And then what we're going to do is go to our graph. And we're going to call this the team scored text variable. Make it a text. And then we'll make it where you can pass that text in using instance editable and expose on spawn, when we create the widget. So save all. What we're also going to want to do is bind this right here, this text, to that variable, to team scored. So when it does change, when we do update that variable, it will also update this text on the screen. And that way it'll say either orange team scored or yellow team scored, depending on what we pass in. So the other thing we're going to want to do is we don't really need these. Or, sorry, we'll need construct. And so what we're going to want to do is create a timer by event, because we only want this text to appear for like a certain amount of time, right? So I'm just going to say for 3 seconds. So after 3 seconds, this custom event here is going to run. And I'm going to call that end team scored message, because we actually want to remove that message after 3 seconds. And literally all we're going to do is just use my remove from viewport. Makes it really easy. So after 3 seconds, this widget will remove itself essentially from the viewport. Yeah, I think that's it for this. So let's go back here. So now we actually want to create that. So we want to create a widget of that class. So team scored goals video. And there we go. And so this we want to drag this into here. That'll create an input called the team scored text. And so what we're going to do is we're going to feed this in externally. Our actual goal will actually feed this text in to let it know. Save that. All right, now let's go back to this part. Oh, I see. Okay. And now we're going to want to just call that multicast that we just created. And what we can do is we don't have to do anything too special. We already know, right, that the yellow team scored, right? So we can just literally just type that in. So yellow team scored. And this is exactly what will display in the middle of the screen, and then it will remove itself 3 seconds later. So, and then the server, because we know we're on the server because of this, is multicasting this to all the clients. So all the clients will get this message basically. And so now we're just going to do pretty much the exact same thing. So we'll just like copy this chunk here. We're going to do the exact same thing, but when the yellow goal is scored on, we're going to increment the orange team. We're going to check if the orange team has won or not, and so long as they have not won yet, then we'll let everybody know that they scored. And I've added some new functionality into the core game that anytime you're using teams and like a team wins, it automatically shows in the middle of the screen like which team has won. So that's why we don't want to display this. We want to let we want to let people know which team won rather than that they scored, right? So it's a little bit of an interesting side case that may not be obvious until you actually had like tested it, which is basically what happened for me. So that's how I figured that out. Yeah. And then finally, I have like a little bit of extra functionality where I'm going to grab the flag object. So like once a team scores, there's a function on this on the flag object. There's a function to reset to starting location. So we'll take the flag and we'll bring it back to basically the middle of the level, which is where it started. So just one of the rules essentially for this game mode. Of course, it's up to you how you want to handle that. And so now that we've made these goals, let's go ahead and let's throw them into the level, right? So BP goal, so let's toss that in. Rotate it 90. And then this is where I was saying, this is why when we made that this team and we made it instance editable, well now as we've created an instance of it, right? And it's editable, so we can make sure that, okay, so let's see. So these are the this is the yellow side, so we'll make this goal yellow. Maybe we'll just call that yellow, and we'll put it into the yellow base. And then let's drag another goal in. Let's actually bring this, just set to 2000 just to get the same, make it like symmetrical. Make it y of 0 so it centers up in the level. Yeah, this is probably okay. So same thing for this. Let's rotate it. Center it up 30 just so it's perfectly symmetrical, and just be negative 2000. It's just exactly opposite of the other goal. And of course, let's make this one orange. Modify its name and drag it in here for organization. And there you go. So we got 2 goals now where you can throw flags to them and they increment the score of the opposing team that throws the flag through. All right, so let's do some final setup here. So what we're going to do is open up our player controller, and we're going to point it to the new HUD. So the HUD goals video that we created. We're also going to load up the VR character and point its left HUD to our VR info left goals video. So this is just making sure that that we're pointing to the custom HUD and custom wrist HUD for our VR character, and this is just for our non-VR character. To use these new files that we created here, like this HUD right here, which of course looks like this. So and our wrist HUD as well, which is this guy. So we'll be modifying those next. Yeah, so the first thing we'll do is we'll actually modify, close these for a sec. The first thing we'll modify is so we'll call this, we'll rename this actually to, instead of flag score, we'll just call it goal score for the goals video. So we'll open that. So this is just, in our HUD, this is just this widget down here at the bottom left. So we're going to be replacing that, but I'm going to modify it first. So what we're going to do is, in this particular mode, since we're just using one flag and it's not team based really, we're just going to remove the flag state off of here. So we'll remove that. So all we're keeping is the scores. And we'll remove these as well. Just this entire horizontal box. So we'll save it. Of course, when we compile, we're going to get a bunch of errors. So we go back here to the graph. Pull this up as well. So what we're going to want to do is the errors are going to be in the set font size function. So again, this is just, we need to set different font sizes for like VR. So this helps us to do that. So we're just going to grab any of these, this like orange team score text, and just plug that in here. And then we're actually going to just remove this font because we're not adjusting we don't have the flag states anymore. So we're just going to kill that. And we're going to get rid of that as well. And delete these. And then bring this down. And remove these pins. There we go. So that compiles now. Then we're also going to want to go out here, use the construct event, call its parent function, and then we're actually going to want to run this set font when it constructs. So what that will do is if we pass in a custom font size, right now it's just set to 18 by default, but for VR it will pass in 32, and this will ensure that that font size gets applied essentially to the to these two right here. So save that up, and then this ensures that it actually gets set. All right. So let's go to our actual HUD, and then we'll check this. So we're going to be replacing this guy, so we'll just look. So it's 50, -50, 250, 30, and then 1. So we'll keep it in here for now, and then we'll bring in the new this goals score goals video. We'll drop that in. So here it is, and we'll try to get it to the same location as this. So it'll anchor at the bottom left. We'll zero that out. And then I think it was 50, -50. Let's see. This is why I keep it around 250, 30, and 1. So 250 size in the horizontal. 250, 30, right? And then 1. There we go. And then we'll delete this guy. So there we go. So we've got our custom score. And so let's the final thing we'll have to do is edit the wrist HUD for VR. So we'll we can just delete this. And we'll just bring in our this guy, the same one that we put on the bottom left, and then we'll just set it to fill, and there we go. So that'll give us the custom wrist HUD. So yeah, hopefully I can test this, but everything should work, and we're actually done. All right, well, we'll see if this actually works. I forgot to update the game on my laptop, so, but I don't know. I can't remember if I added like a lot of custom functionality or not. So, but we'll give it a shot and see. But I'm pretty much sure that this will work properly. In fact, to be honest, I don't even think we need to test it on 2 computers. So I think I have enough here to give this test. We'll just test it locally, so you can kind of get an idea of like how the functionality works. So let's just try that. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and package this user-generated content. So this goals video here, we'll build it to our desktop. All right, so that worked. So we'll just grab this. And I'll just throw it into my Trilogy Games mods folder. So that just allows us to test it locally. And let's just go ahead and load Trilogy. Of course, you would access this yourself through your Steam folder. So you would be going through Program Files, 86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common. I think yours is going to be called Trilogy. This is the old name Narc, but yeah. So you'd be getting it through here, Arena VR, mods. You would throw it into there. But this is like my own built version that I have that has like all the latest updated stuff. So I'm just going to be using that. So of course I just dropped our pack file, our mod in here. It looks like it built properly. It's 183 kilobytes. And that's another thing, by the way, I've been doing is I found that, I don't know why, but like sometimes the mods, they stop like building all the stuff into them. So the solution to that, and I've kind of been posting it in some video comments in the FAQ, but you can just create a subfolder with a bunch of random numbers, and you can just drop all your files into that, and then it will start building all the stuff in. But in this case, I think it's fine at first because it's recently created. But yeah, so basically this properly built, we threw it in here. So let's go ahead and load Arena VR, or which is Trilogy. And we'll just go to practice, and we can see that local mod here. So we'll hit launch, and there we go. So this is that map we just created. We have this flag in the middle, and you can't see them, but that's why I put these boxes here. But we have these like collisions. We have the goals. And so first off, let's just pick up the flag. Cool, so we can pick it up. And either team, the way we set it up, can pick this thing up. It has all the functionality of a flag, although it seems to not be working at the moment. Not really sure why. Might have to look into that. It's not allowing me to throw the flag for some reason. Very weird. Let's go see why. So this is the flag. Maybe because these are set. Let me delete those. I mean, it should work because we're not really... It's very odd that that doesn't work. Oh, let's give it another shot. Let's build it. Let's try this again. Yeah. Still not letting me throw it. It's interesting, because that's actually controlled through the player controller. Oh, I think I know exactly why. You know what we forgot to do? So we actually need to go to our world settings here, and we need to repoint these, I believe, to our goals video. So we have to set the world settings for this this map, our goals video map, to the gameplay files. So let's do that. So we'll say game mode goals video, set this to none, set this to player controller goals video, game state goals video, player state goals video, and just leave this as is. Hopefully this works. Yeah, it would make sense because, yeah, interesting. Well, we'll try it out. So let's package that up. Save it to the desktop. Seems like every video I get something wrong. Sorry about that. All right. Let's replace that. Let's try this again. All right, let's hope this works. So I can pick up the flag, and I still cannot throw it. And obviously I can't run it through. So I want to see if this guy works. So this is the testing one that I made. See, this works just fine. See, yellow team scored and all that. All right. So I guess one thing we could try is our trick, just using some random numbers and just copying those into that, although I think this won't make a difference. But we'll give it a shot. Then it might actually compile properly. Yeah. Check this. Yeah, goals. Yeah. Flag color orange, nothing special. It's so odd. It's like exactly the same. All right, let's package up this guy again. So we just added this subfolder basically. Yeah, so there's something slightly different. It's off by like 1 kilobyte. Hopefully we can figure out what that difference is, because whatever it is, it's causing it where the flag can't be thrown. I think it's still not going to work, so I'll have to look through it a bit more. Yep. I'm just looking through to see if there's like any differences. So it must be something on the flag itself. Ah, I know what it is. So what I forgot to do was this set orb is actually to a controller, but this actor is like a pawn basically. So what I need to do is get instigator controller. And see, so what was happening is, I mean, this is a good example of why we need this, because basically the pawn, since we weren't sending it to the right thing, it didn't know that it was holding something. So of course, why would it be able to throw something that it doesn't even know that it's holding? So there you go. That's one of the reasons that we set the actor their controller to that they're holding something and what they're holding, so that they can actually throw it, right? So there you go. Sorry about that, guys. I always manage to do something like that in one of these videos, but it always makes for something interesting. So this should work now. If we go ahead and package that video again, to our desktop. And yeah, so this is just on the flag itself. All right. So this is, we'll get rid of this one. So here's our goals video pack file. It's still 183 kilobytes, so well, hopefully that fixed the issue. It should though, it makes a lot of sense. So let's replace this. Yeah, this was just built. All right, let's try it again. So it should be able to throw. Yep, boom, we can throw it. Nice. So that's one of the reasons we can also, like, you know, shoot it. Whoops, it's gonna fly off. All right, we'll restart. Go back to practice, back in. But yeah, as you can see, we get all that functionality where we can shoot it. It goes to bases, we can pick it up, we can throw it. Yeah, so let's see what happens. So if we throw it through this goal over here, boom, orange team scored. And we can see at the bottom left, we get a, you know, we get a 1, so we can pick it up again and return to the base. Orange team scored second time. Let's check this guy. Yellow team scored. And of course, you can throw this between players already, and they can pick it up. See that? So I just picked it up again. I can throw it to myself, obviously. So yeah, you get all that functionality out of the box. So let's just see orange team scored. Let's check to make sure the game restarts. So oh, it didn't go through. Let's try it again. And see, you can't just run it through the goal, right? So that's working. We have to actually throw it through. Orange team won. There we go. It doesn't say they scored. It says they won. And we should see the game should restart. Boom. So there you go. And that's goal scoring with flags. So pretty cool. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.